What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and we are continuing with the MCU updates, MCU news cycle. Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially earned $2 billion at the worldwide box office, becoming the highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time, and it is the third highest grossing superhero movie of all time. I'm going to dive into all the details and tell you everything you need to know about how this movie broke all these records. So let's begin. So I am looking at the article from Variety. Spider-Man Brand New Day hits $2 billion worldwide in 3 weeks. So it says, new day, new box office milestone for Sony's latest Spidey adventure. Spider-Man Brand New Day has surpassed $2 billion in global ticket sales, eclipsing the rare benchmark after just 3 weekends of release. The comic book adventure starring Tom Holland as Marvel's neighborhood web-slinger has grossed $785 million in North America and $1.23 billion overseas for a grand total of $2.02 billion in its worldwide box office run right now. So in just about 17 days, Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially made over $2 billion, becoming the second fastest movie in box office history to earn that milestone, right behind Marvel Studios' own movie, Avengers Endgame. So that is crazy news right there. That is an insane feat. Like, I don't think people understand how rare it is for a movie to earn $2 billion, let alone do it in less than 3 weeks. Like, bravo to Kevin Feige, Tom Holland, Desmond Cretton, and the whole Marvel Studios club, and Sony, obviously, for allowing this character to become, the biggest it's ever been. Spider-Man is now in the big leagues with, the Avatar franchise and the Avengers franchise. So I'm really excited for the future of Spider-Man in the MCU, but just as a brand. And we look at the stats right here. It says the newest Spider-Man is one of 8 films in history to reach the $2 billion club, joining the small but mighty company of 2009's Avatar, which is the highest grossing movie of all time at $2.9 billion. And Avengers Endgame is the second highest grossing film of all time, which earned $2.7 billion back in 2019. And 2022's Avatar: The Way of Water, which earned $2.3 billion, and 1994's Titanic, which earned $2.2 billion, 2015 Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which earned $2.07 billion, and 2018's Avengers: Infinity War, which earned $2.03 billion. And meanwhile, the prior Spider-Man installment, 2021's No Way Home, was this close with $1.9 billion, but missed the milestone because the superhero adventure didn't play in China. So that is all but accurate facts. I remember when No Way Home came out. I know all of you remember when No Way Home came out. The only reason why No Way Home didn't make $2 billion is because we were in a pandemic. And the fact that it made $1.9 billion when everybody was at home, people were sick, and it was like the craziest time in my lifetime of what I've seen. Like, I've seen crazy things, but the COVID-19 pandemic was just, you can't predict anything like that to happen. And that was just crazy. And the fact that did what it did during that time just showed the power of Spider-Man. And when Toby and Andrew were rumored to be in the movie, people were not missing that. So that No Way Home was going to do that regardless. But the only reason why it didn't do it is because we were in a pandemic and it didn't play in China. But it says notably, Brand New Day is the second fastest film to reach the threshold after Endgame, which got there after 11 days. So like I said before, Spider-Man Brand New Day is the second fastest film to cross $2 billion after Avengers Endgame, which did it in 11 days. Like, Avengers Endgame made $1 billion in 2 days and made $2 billion in less than 2 weeks. Like, because of the China pull that it had, that is one of the most insane feats that I don't think we're going to see until Secret Wars. But I'm probably going to say we're going to see it in Doomsday, because Brand New Day is doing the records that it's doing. And we are already seeing record-breaking numbers with the MCU, like what it was doing in its heyday. And if Tom Holland is in Avengers Doomsday, like I think that Doomsday could possibly get near or cross the $3 billion mark. So we might see that record from Avengers Endgame getting to $2 billion get shattered by Avengers Doomsday. So That is really cool. And it says Spider-Man Brand New Day has been shattering expectations since landing in theaters at the end of July. The movie, Holland's fourth solo outing as Peter Parker, captured a record-setting $355 million in North America and a staggering $932 million globally in its opening weekend, and then cleared $1 billion after just 6 days of release. Insane. There's no question that Brand New Day will leave the big screen as one of the highest grossing movies of all time. In fact, it's already the 8th highest grossing film release ever, like I said before. But where will ticket sales ultimately wind up? With stratospheric enthusiasm and encouraging staying power, box office watchers are wondering whether Brand New Day could become the only movie to ever reach $1 billion domestically. Star Wars The Force Awakens currently stands as the biggest domestic release ever with $936 million, and maybe, possibly, potentially, even the first to hit $3 billion globally. So we are already in record-breaking territory. Brand New Day is on pace to become the biggest movie domestically, the biggest movie in domestic box office history, surpassing Star Wars The Force Awakens. And this article is putting the word out that it could possibly earn $3 billion. I don't think it's going to do $3 billion, because that would mean that it needs to do another $1 billion and have even stronger legs than Avengers Endgame and Avatar. But it could possibly happen. We've seen records be broken, and I know you got to adjust for inflation and all that, but let's do a hypothetical. If Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is at $2 billion now, right, in 17 days, does another $1 billion and becomes the biggest movie of all time, not only the biggest movie of all time, but the biggest MCU movie ever made, the biggest movie in Sony Pictures history, and the biggest comic book movie of all time. Those are the feats that Spider-Man Brand New Day would do in the year of 2026, where we all have conversations about how, there's so much homework with all these comic book properties, how superhero fatigue is real. In all of those conversations, Spider-Man Brand New Day becoming the biggest movie of all time and becoming the first movie to make $3 billion, I don't want to hear nothing about anything. Avengers Doomsday is going to make $3 billion. There's no way that a Spider-Man movie outsells an Avengers movie. I know people are saying that we are going to get, Avengers Doomsday is barely going to make $2 million. It's been takes all on box office forums that I've been seeing and just online that Avengers Doomsday is barely going to crack $2 billion and make like 1.6. I'm like, dude, first of all, Avengers, we haven't seen Avengers in 7 years. Then you got the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the new Avengers with all the other OG Avengers crossing over for the first time on screen. That's never been done. Why would Avengers not crack $2 billion? Why would it not gross over $2 billion and become one of the highest grossing films of the year? I know it's going to be the highest grossing film of the year, but one of the highest grossing films of all time. If Spider-Man Brand New Day is doing this, then what would Avengers Doomsday do? Make even more money. And if Brand New Day can make $3 billion, I think Doomsday is going to go higher. I'm thinking 3.1, 3.2, maybe even 3.3, because Avengers, people have been waiting. I've been waiting. So I think if Brand New Day does it, oh my God, that's going to be insane. But this is one of the great stories for the movie industry. I'm loving the energy that Marvel Studios has right now, where they are prioritizing the big characters. Spider-Man really ignited a feeling that I haven't had. I've had it, in bits and pieces with, Deadpool, Wolverine. The Marvels, I really enjoyed what the Marvels did and how that set up the future of the MCU. But when we had the Thunderbolts and we saw what they did with that post-credit scene, and then they doubled down again with the Fantastic Four First Steps, and how Marvel Studios slowed down the output and made sure that when you watch the next movie, just like the Infinity Saga, that you're going to get a payoff. We haven't had that payoff in quite some time. Like, the Multiverse Saga has been, messy. We have had a lot of different things, unfortunately happen. A lot of things that were outside of Marvel Studios' control. So it's not just on them, but I think now that we have from the Thunderbolts all the way now to Brand New Day and leading up to Doomsday. We have a plan. We have this new sense of focus that we haven't seen since the 2018, 2019 days. You know, I'm kind of talking about that Captain Marvel post-credit scene where you saw Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, you had Bruce Banner, and you had other Avengers. I'm missing names, but that post-credit scene, you know, all the post-credit scenes that we have seen since Thunderbolts reminded me of that time of the MCU when the hype was like all the way up, and we are back, man. We are back with the hype, and it's just beautiful to see. And I feel like for the people that, you know, stayed in it and didn't give up on the MCU, I think we are being rewarded for our, not only our brand loyalty, but we are also being rewarded for staying for the long haul, for, you know, believing in a vision, for believing in what the MCU is and what these superhero movies can become. Because, you know, it was a dark time. It was a dark time in the MCU, especially in 2023. Like, that was not a good time to be online. But we got out of that. Marvel Studios, they understood what needed to be done. And we are now in a place where the MCU is at its peak, a new peak right now. It's in its peak right now, if we're talking about numbers right now. So this is good. This is good for the X-Men, because obviously, if you haven't seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, please get out of here. But Jean Grey is in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and Jean Grey is one of the founding members of the X-Men. She is played by Sadie Sink. We just got the cast officially revealed at D23 on Friday during the Disney Entertainment Showcase. Putting Sadie Sink's Jean Grey in Spider-Man Brand New Day, Jean Grey is part of a film that made $2 billion. So we know Sadie Sink is going to be in Avengers Secret Wars. She was the first person to actually get technically revealed through the trades to be in Avengers Secret Wars. So what is going to be her role in Avengers Secret Wars? I don't know, but putting her in Spider-Man Brand New Day makes sense. It is one of those decisions. I know people want to see a traditional Spider-Man movie. They don't want to see a Spider-Man X-Men crossover, and it makes zero sense to put Jean Grey in a Spider-Man movie. And I was one of those people. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, there we go. They are doing what they did for Tom Holland in Captain America Civil War and Chadwick Boseman in Captain America Civil War, putting these characters in the big tentpole movie, and then you see them later, and then they are going to get a box office boost. This happened with Captain Marvel. This happened with Ant-Man. All these unknown characters that people really aren't too familiar with, you want to put them in the big movies first, so that way people and the general audience can care about them in their next movie. And this is what the MCU has always done since the first Iron Man movie, setting things up for the next thing. And this reminds me of the Infinity Saga so much, and I am so happy that the X-Men franchise has been put on the map. The X-Men franchise has never seen $2 billion. I don't even think they've seen $1 billion when the Fox run was happening. I think the highest grossing movie for the X-Men franchise was Deadpool and Wolverine. And the highest one, I think, is what, Days of Future Past? And I think that made over $700 million, $800 million. I got to look into it. But as far as I know, the X-Men franchise has never cleared $1 billion. So what Kevin Feige has in store for the X-Men, for the future of the MCU, this guy is the greatest producer of all time. He knows what he's doing. He knows what people want to see. So putting Sadie Sink in Spider-Man Brand New Day bodes well for not only Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, but the X-Men movie, which comes out in theaters on May 5th, 2028, which will kick off the new saga of the MCU. And yeah, this is just great stuff for Marvel. This is expanding the universe, but not what we did in the multiverse saga, but it's being methodical. And this is what Marvel Studios is great at. This is what made them the biggest studio of all time. So I am loving this. I really want to see Tom Holland Spider-Man now in the next Fantastic Four movie. That movie made enough money to get a sequel. So if you put Tom Holland in that one, Fantastic Four 2 is going to get maybe a $200 million, $300 million increase from First Steps, which is going to be around like $800 million. So now you just made the Fantastic Four a bigger franchise and a bigger deal within the MCU, because the Fantastic Four are also one of those characters that cross over with Spider-Man even more so than the X-Men. And if you want to go crazy, put Tom Holland in the X-Men movie as a little cameo and just have him swing by the X-Mansion just checking on Jean Grey. Like, that would be something really cool and really unique and exciting for the MCU. It would make everything feel more streamlined with the MCU, and it would make everything worth it when you're seeing all these characters have recurring appearances like what they did with Steve Rogers, with Iron Man, with Thor. Everybody had their moment, and you really grew with these characters and you fell in love with them. And I feel like they are doing that with Tom Holland. They are using Tom Holland like they did with RDJ as Iron Man. And this was the beginning of that. So I expect with this new Sony Marvel Studios deal, now that Spider-Man Brand New Day has made over $2 billion and we don't know where it's going to land in its final run. And now that Sony and Marvel Studios have one of the biggest movies ever made, both together, and they have done it again. This is their third $1 billion film. Far From Home, No Way Home, and now Brand New Day. I think they are going to have a better deal in place where Tom Holland can not only just show up in Avengers movies, but he could show up in X-Men properties, Fantastic Four properties. Maybe he can even show up in some other things down the line, not just Avengers. So I think Spider-Man, you're really going to see him in the next saga a lot, and they're gonna really double down on Tom Holland being the face of the MCU, because he is. There is no other guy, no other character right now that is pulling these numbers quite like Spider-Man. And it is beautiful. It's beautiful to watch because Spider-Man is my favorite character. Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man. Seeing these numbers, seeing the love, care, and dedication that Destin Dale Cretton and everybody at Marvel Studios and Sony has for this character is, I'm just at a loss for words. The fact that we are now in a place with the MCU where it's breaking all these records again, I'm with it. And it's going to be a crazy, crazy December. We are going to have to wait a little bit longer for Avengers Doomsday, but the marketing is about to ramp up. And boy, oh boy, I think Spider-Man Tom Holland will show up in Avengers Doomsday, and we are about to get some more peak moments, and we are about to see more records broken from Marvel Studios. They will become the first studio to gross back-to-back $2 billion films in the same calendar year. I think that's going to happen. That's my prediction for Avengers Doomsday. I think it's going to do it. And yeah, we are ready. We are locked in. I got my theories ready to go. I have a lot more video ideas for the future of the MCU, Spider-Man, X-Men, and as we enter the MCU reboot. So stay tuned for these videos in the near future. I'm going to do one video at a time. I enjoyed doing this breakdown for all of you. Spider-Man Brand New Day is now a $2 billion film. And let's see where it's going to go next, because I think this might outgross Endgame, but who knows? Maybe it just lands shy of Endgame, but I think we're going to get a lot more records broken with Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is not over yet, so stay tuned for these kinds of updates. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, subscribe. I really enjoyed making it. I hope you were entertained. I hope you were informed. You can be on the lookout for more MCU update videos like this, more theory videos, more breakdown videos, and more trailer reactions. So feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.